So now I'm going to explain a little bit about the Powa practice. We are having the retreat for the Powa Jagurma, Powa of Rainbow, because many people have requested for many years, and in a May I have given in Santa Fe, but then after we got a lot of the request from elsewhere to give this again, so I decided to have a 1 week long retreat, because just to get a teaching and information, 4 or 5 days we can go through and complete the teaching itself, a very super fast way. But in order to receive yourself perfection sign and then the blessing of kusha grass on your crown, that is the complete sort of teaching practice, and sort of confirming your practice of Powa is mature and it's in good level of practice science. So therefore this time we are making a 1 week retreat, full 1 week retreat, so which at the end of the day then I will be blessing the kusha grassing by putting it on your crown when your signs are appeared. So this is part of the Powa. In general I say that, and here I'm giving a teaching of the Powa Jagurma. This particular Powa, beside many other sources and texts we have, this Powa Jagurma is especially sort of well or popularly known in our Burn community, both in the monks community and the lay life community. They receive this Powa practice. It is transmitted directly from one of the great master, the throne holder of the Menri Tenzin, the Menri throne, His Holiness, the Menri Tenzin, Kuntu Zangpo. He received this teaching directly from Nyame Sherab Gyaltsen, appearing in front of him in the space one of the early morning in the rainbow circle. As when you visualize these images, then you know that Nyame Sherab Gyaltsen. So he instructed, do this Powa practice from the distant level as well as close one, that who need and who you are performing. It's more effective and more direct and more blessing. So this is the Powa Jagurma. From then on, he transmitted this teaching to his successor, and then onwards through all the successor of throne holder of Menri, and up until now His Holiness the 33rd Menri Tenzin Rinpoche, my teacher. So he got these teachings, and from them I received the transmission and the teachings from him. That is what I am kind of transmitting, and will instruct and lead the teaching and the practice. Now what is the Powa? Those who don't know nothing about what is Powa meant. The literal meaning of the Powa means transforming from place to place, moving from place to place. That means here it applies that from this present karmic body, which we hold the conventional mind, and this very mind at the time of the death is transforming from this cyclic existing world, the karmic body, to the pure, into the pure land of the Kuntu Zangpo and enlightened ones, and transforming it into the essence of Kuntu Zangpo's ultimate reality or ultimate nature. Kuntu Zangpo. So transforming from samsaric world to the pure land of the enlightened ones. The ordinary conventional consciousness mind transforming into ultimate essence of the Buddha, primordial enlightened one, Kuntu Zangpo. That is what Powa, transforming, moving. how you get transformed this. We all sentient beings, one way or other, we have to leave this physical body, and that we call as a death. Whether you believe on it, whether you like or dislike, when time comes, without any choice and condition, we have to leave this very physical body and existing world. That time, we leave all physical and material, our sort of belonging, and this very attached body of ourself. But only our mind consciousness is traveling alone. So, if we are well trained and aware of natural of process of death and dying, then there is no need of fear, afraid of dying. Instead, we will joyfully, comfortably able to follow the path of death and dying simply by being fully aware what is happening now, where we are now, and then accordingly you simply kind of acknowledging and integrating or implementing that into sort of contemplation and practice. So by the end of the process, you are already unified into the true essence of Kuntu Zangpo nature. So it is simply you are just like changing the house from one house to the another house and making your own comfortable living there. It is very much like that. Now how we live this body, this life, this samsara, it very much depends on us. How much, in this very lifetime, how much you have spiritual grounded, how much you have practice accumulated, how much you have discovered in a sense of true nature of all realities, including your own nature state of mind, how much you are connected to the practice in your day-to-day life. That all makes difference. That all corresponds to the time when you are experiencing or going through the process of death and dying. So therefore, if you are well experienced in this very lifetime, even you are not great practitioner, but you are good human being, good spiritually grounded, means well-being, motivated for the good of all beings, honesty, generosity, love, kindness, friendly and openness. Even if you are in that sort of quality you have in your day-to-day life, the moment of the very time of the death, you become much more relaxed. You become much more peace. You become much more sort of acknowledging the situation. And especially when you have some experience of practice, especially devotion to three enlightened ones, refugee, experience of generating warm-hearted semkye, in some sense of practice of spirituality in your day-to-day life, being totally living in that spirituality, with sort of experience of practicing or connected with the practicing, relating in a life, if not all, at least some, from out of 10 transcendental practice or 10 perfection practice. We call Parchin Chu. Sanskrit is 10 paramita, generosity, morality, patience, etc. If you live in those practice in your day life make a tremendous difference. And especially if you have gone through Ngondro, the preliminary, which is not necessarily you're at the very beginning level, nothing knowing starting, but simply means grounding well of your spirituality and the realization. When you have those experiences of teaching and practice as well, the Ngondro, which is preliminary practice, and actual practice of experience of introducing, receiving introduction to your nature state of mind, and carrying on with the experience of meditation of that nature state of mind. And then, of course, higher teaching of more in secret, Nga, or the Tantra, or the Dzogchen even. If you have those experiences and the knowledge about the pardos, the process of death and dying, and the process of pardo, if you are well knowledge in experience, in practice as well, in your lifetime, and then those days when a time comes, you will just being aware of what is happening, and then without agitating, without distracting, without afraid, you just acknowledge the situation, and you be in the state of that practice. Is the time to practice, to apply. When you apply all practice, then you're just carry on continuing the practice, following the reality of the experience without rejecting, but acknowledge and practice, unifying that in the process of death and a death experience into practice. And simply in that state, you integrate or transform your mind consciousness into the true essence of the Buddha, primordial Buddha or Kuntu Zangpo. So simply that way, actually there's no any such karmic trace leaving behind. And that is the ultimate cut off the root of suffering, permanent elimination of suffering causes and karma to reborn in this cyclic samsara or cyclic world of suffering, and you simply enter into the pure land of all the enlightened ones and unified into the true state of being of primordial Buddha, Kuntu Zangpo. And through this, you cut off the root of suffering and free from the suffering. Otherwise, like it or not, you have no experience, you have no belief, you are very rejective of all this aspect of experiences. Believing on the Dharma is very negative or rejective, and understanding it's very limited when the death and dying process take place. And then more and more closer time and signs appearing, whether you believe or not, or like it or not, so your reaction will be much destructive reaction. And mind became completely full, and mind became completely lost, and mind became completely disturbed. And all this disturbed mind never able to connect to the origin. And then you are being diluted and taken away by the karmic wave of wind, and you will meet the karmic parents, and then you get reborn again in this cyclic suffering. So that is what we call pova transmission, is from this cyclic suffering world to the pure land, which is absolute freedom from the suffering forever. That is where we are transforming our mind consciousness from to that pure land, and in the essence of Kuntu Zangpo, the primordial Buddha, which is enlightened from the beginning. That is, so in this process, there are a lot to learn. The gradual dissolution of the 5 elements of our body. Our body is connected, fully depending on our inner 5 element, and that directly connected to the external 5 element. And each of these 5 elements connected to each of the energy points of our 5 energy points, or 6, sometimes people call 6, depends on which text. And these are directly connected to this energy point, means chakra in Sanskrit. And how each of these elements connected to our each 5 organs, liver, heart, lung, etc. And then how it connects to the element, how it connects to the energy points, and when energy points of them, each of them gradually release, dysfunctioning, it affects too the collapsing of our organs, and then the experiences and so forth. So there are a lot to be learned and practice and train and be prepared. Once we prepare it, that we know there's nothing that could be so frightening of dying, because death is a part of inseparable part of our life. When death takes place, our life completes, and then what we call complete life, birth and death. The death is already begun with the birth itself, but we are not connecting it as like. We are always thinking death is something awful and scary part. It's because you don't know nothing about, and then we imagining would be something scary. Lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. So therefore this Pova teaching is very essential in our everyday practice to make it ready and to understand gradual dissolution of each element, dissolving of each into, and releasing, gradual releasing of each energy point, and collapse, dysfunctioning of each organs, and complete our so-called life. That is something, if we are aware, then we have no reason to get distracted or fear. Rather, we will stably, clearly, with full aware, we will acknowledge, accept, and unify it into practice. So, you're in a safe side, you're in enlightenment state of that part of practice if you follow on. So, in order to have that, while in this our lifetime, we should make ourselves is the boss. You yourself is the one who make decision for your good. Should not ourselves total domain by the time and the walk and the desire and attachment. All these are making us a slave of this ignorance. So in a lifetime, when you are in position to decide yourself, decide good for your own, this present life, meaningful life is important. Make this life not just living, but make this life meaningful way of living. And then make this life fully capable to integrate at the final stage of your life in a very perfect and correct way to integrate your true mind, conscious into the pure land and heart essence of the Kuntu Zangpo. So this is all in our hand now, because we are ourselves could decide what you want, but have to make good decision. So that's why part of the Pova is meant to train yourself. What are the process gradually take place when we are beginning to release this physical or karmic body, and then how, when we should integrate and how we should think and how and what. So these are the what I think the practice and the teaching of Pova. So 1 week of teaching Pova retreat, we will have a strictly sort of meditation sessions divided, and there will be a teaching introducing each experience and each stage of our dissolution and the dissolving and the dysfunction of elements, organs, and chakra or energy points. And then when is ourself meant to unifying our true this very conscious mind into the essence of Kuntu Zangpo. So these all teachings will be focused. And then at the end of the retreat, everyone will receive the blessing kusha. And then you can carry on. It doesn't mean you have to practice every day once you get those signs. But just to make yourself ready and remember and a clear memory of the practice, and time to time you could do once in a while, but then when truly death comes, that you could easily meant to be transformed in that state. So which is fundamental important is trust to the teaching of the burn, and particularly trust on the karma, the rebirth or next life, and trust of this power practice. And then you will be fine. And this is the how this our Powa Jagurma retreat will take place in 2017. So this is part of the Powa that I again were requested to give a short introduction. So that is part of the Powa. The rest we will go through when we come to the retreat. Thank you.